Welcome back to Uncharted, the board game. I'm about to begin round 1, and our first player is going to be Tenzin right here, and we'll get over to his play area and have a look. And then what I forgot to do at the end for setup is, again, I said from the two-player game, each player draws 3 cards. So I'm going to draw 3 cards for Tenzin, and I'm now just going to draw 3 cards for Chloe. So that will go over to her play area. All right, let's zoom in on Tenzin. Take a look at what he has for cards and abilities and get into round 1. Let's do that. Okay, so here we are with Tenzin. He's got 11 hit points, and his special abilities, 6 life or less gives him +1 attack, 3 life or less +1 attack, and 3 yellow cards, so 1, 2, 3 out here displayed, gives him the special ability of +1 attack. All right, these were his 3 cards that we drew. Let's have a look at them. We have 1 card which costs 0 to play. It's called Cure. Recover 3 life, then discard this card. So this would go face down on the table and it would be discarded. Costs nothing to play. The other card is a 0 card and it's Drum. Discard 1 card from your play area to deal 1 damage to each other player. So that's a Take You card. It costs nothing to play. And this one costs 1 card to play. Clinging to Life. Discard 1 card from your play area to draw 2 cards. So that is not too bad. All right, so how the game works is, of course, a series of rounds. Right now would be the refresh phase, which means any cards that were tapped. And how I'm going to tap cards when I'm playing is I'm just going to flip them over so I know that I've used them. So, of course, that's not going to happen right now because it's the first turn. There's nothing to refresh. Or, sorry, called the recovery phase, not the refresh phase. So now we're into the action phase. And what happens is you go from the first player to the second player, third, fourth, if you're playing 4 players. In this game, it's going to be 2 players. So Tenzin's going to take 2 actions. Then we're going to go to Chloe to take 2 actions. And we're going to come back to Tenzin for 2 actions. Over to Chloe, 2 actions. You go back and forth until both players have passed. And of course, the first player to pass in the 2-player game is either going to get to put a free search token out on the board on one of the artifacts, or going to be able to draw 1 action card. So let's get going. We're going to have Tenzin here do 2 actions. I think the first action he's going to do is he is going to use the run action, which means when you play this card, you basically tap it, and you get to draw an action card. So that's his first of 2 actions, and he draws Nathan Drake's Journal, which lets you put 2 search tokens on. Wow, but it costs 5 cards to play. So that's a very expensive card to play. That was his first action. And the second action is he will actually take a search action. So this means I'm going to tap this card for a second action. He gets to place 1 search marker on one of the artifacts. So we're going to take one of his blue. He has 6 of them, and I don't think it says anywhere specifically in the rules that you can't, once you use your 6 tokens on the board, you can't place anymore. But I think because there's 6 tokens provided, once you put 6 tokens out, search tokens, you can't put out any more. So let's go to the board. He's going to place a search token on an artifact, and that will be his second action. Then we're going to go over to Chloe. Okay, so Tenzin, these are our 6 basic cards. These are the 5 artifacts out right now. Tenzin is going to place a search marker right here on the statue. And it has, once the second search token goes down on this card, it will be discovered. And when it is discovered, whoever discovers it, or the number of tokens that are on here, once there's 2, whoever has a token on here will get to draw 1 card. Explaining that poorly, but I think it's pretty obvious. All right, let's go over to Chloe. It's now her turn to take 2 actions, and then we'll bounce back to Tenzin. Okay, here we are over at Chloe, and we'll take a look at her 3 cards. She also has Drum. Now, obviously there are multiples of certain cards, so that means discard a card from your play area, and you get to damage every other opponent by 1. Francis Drake's Diary. Sorry, can't read. You may use this effect when defending yourself to gain +2 defense until the end of the battle. This does not count as an action. That's actually extremely nice to have, and it doesn't cost anything to play. It says you may use this effect when you would be dealt damage by an effect to avoid the damage completely. This does not count as an action. So very nice. The other one costs 3 to play. It's run and it's draw an action card. All right, those are her 3 cards. So like Tenzin, I think the first thing she's going to do is use run as her first action, and that means she gets to draw an action card. And she pulls another 0 card, balancing. Discard 2 cards from your hand. And if you discard 2 cards from your hand, you get to draw 2 cards. So that's pretty good. What is she going to play? I think she is going to play right now as her second action. It costs 0. Whoa. And sorry for the glare. She plays that down, and now she has 2 cards down on the table. And again, there's a limitation. You can only have 3 of each color in play at one time. Okay, that was Chloe's second action, and nobody's passed yet. We go back to Tenzin. Okay, and we're back over to Tenzin, and it's his turn again. He's got a bunch of cards. I think the first thing he's going to do is he's going to play this one down onto the table for an action. It says recover 3 life, then you discard this card. So with that in mind, he will play that down. Now he has 2 blue cards down on the table. And for his his second action, this turn, he's going to play Zipline, and he's going to use the ability deal damage of 1 life to yourself, and then do one of the following. And he's going to place a search marker. So he's going to tap that card. He's going to go from 10 life down, or 11 life down to 10, and we'll go back to the board, and he's going to place a search marker. Okay, so Tenzin, his second action was to place a search marker. He's going to place the second one on the same one he placed one on before. This now has been discovered, and we just go right up here. He is now going to advance 1 because the bottom of this card has a 1 on it, which is 1 victory point, and now he draws an adventure card. So this goes to the discard pile. He draws an action card, not an adventure card, and it is a +3 pistol that he's picked up into his hand. It costs 2 cards to play. So that goes into his hand. That's the end of his turn. And now we head over to Chloe. And sorry, just before we head over to Chloe, of course, we now have a space here. We must replace it with the next adventure deck card. And the next adventure deck card is the Tibetan Ritual Vase. And it says deal 1 damage to another player for each of your search markers on this card. You may choose different players for different markers. Okay, so that goes out here. And that's going to be an effect that happens when this is discovered. So some of the cards will actually say when there is a token on this card, you get this. If it doesn't say that specifically on the card, it means once this card is discovered, then the effect is going to happen. All right, now let's go to Chloe, and she'll take her 2 turns. 2 actions this turn. Okay, so here we are back with Chloe, and she's going to do 2 actions. I don't think she's going to play anything in her hand right now, because with that new card coming out, she's going to tap this one, which means she gets to place 1 search token, and she's also going to use Zipwire as her second action, which means she's going to take 1 damage, and she's going to place a second search token. So she'll take her 1 damage, and now we'll go back to the board. She has 2 search tokens to place. Okay, so Zoe really liking the Tibetan Ritual Vase that's come out. It has a total of 3. She's going to place 1 search token on this. She's going to place 2 search tokens on it. And what this is going to mean is she has the most search tokens on this artifact. So even if Tenzin now puts 1 on here, she will end up getting the victory points because she has the majority of tokens on here. However, if Tenzin puts it on here, this effect will happen, and there will be a damage dealt per token on there. So what would happen in this case is Tenzin would take 2 damage, and if Tenzin put 1 token on here, Zoe would take 1. All right, that was the 2 actions from Zoe. Let's go back to Tenzin, and he's going to do 2 actions as well. All right, back to Tenzin. So you just bounce back and forth until both players have passed to end the round. All right, and of course he's getting lowish on cards to tap. However, he does have a mitt full of cards here, and he's going to play this card here, which is the the 9mm, and it gives him a +3. Now to do that, he has to discard 2 cards. And as much as I hate to do it, I'm going to discard this one. And I think I'm going to get rid of Drum as well. So those 2 cards go to the discard pile, allowing me as an action to play this card. And now what he is going to do is he's going, for his second action, he's actually going to take an attack action, which means he's going to tap both of these cards, which makes sense. It will give him a total of +5, and we'll go to the board and you'll see why that works for his second action. Okay, so Tenzin has tapped both of his weapons, giving him a 5 attack value. And of course, a 5 attack value meets or exceeds this number. This guard has been defeated, and Tenzin will get 1 victory point. So we put that in the discard pile. Tenzin goes up to number 2 in the victory point. And of course, there's now a space here. It must be replaced with the next adventure deck card. And we end up getting a enemy soldier shows up. So a little bit tougher, does the same amount of damage. So he appears after the guard has been defeated. All right, back over to Chloe. Okay, so Chloe now has 2 actions that she can do. And the first action I think she's going to do is she's going to play this card, which is Balancing. And the Balancing card says discard 2 cards from your hand when you use this card, and you'll get 2 extra action or 2 action cards. So that's her first action, playing that. And I think for a second action, I think for her second action, she is actually going to... Boy, what is she going to do? I think she's going to play Drum, which is a 0-cost action. That's going to be her third green card placed out, so she can only have 3 green, 3 blue, 3 red, and 3 yellow. So that's her second action. No one has passed yet, and let's go back now to Tenzin. Okay, we're back at Tenzin. He has 1 card in his hand, but he needs a card to be able to play this to the table. He can, really the only action he's got that he can do is to tap the cure card, heal himself, but it's not really worth it. You discard it and you heal 3 life. Not really worth it at this point. So right now, his action that he's going to do is he is going to pass. And by passing, what he is going to do with a pass is he is going to place a search marker out on the table. Because when you are the first person, if you are not the last person to pass in the round, you get to either draw an action deck card or place a search token. So he is going to place a search token, and then he is finished for this round. So for Tenzin's final action, because now he has passed, this is his bonus search token. He is going to put that search token on the 9-jewel ring, and it says whenever a player with 1 or more search markers on this card plays a yellow card, he or she plays it at a -1 cost. And it takes 2 to discover this one. So that's it. Tenzin is now passed. So we go over to Chloe, and she can continue playing actions now because Tenzin can no longer play any actions this round until Chloe decides to pass. Once Chloe passes, she will gain, because she's the last player to pass, the start token, and then we will go into the next phase. So let's go over to Chloe and see what she's going to do. Okay, so we're back to Chloe. Tenzin has passed. Chloe now has 2 actions she can do, or she can pass. And looking over her options, she can't play this card. She could play it as a special action, which, because for a blue card, when you discard a blue card, you can heal 2. But I don't think she's going to bother doing that. And playing Drum, she doesn't want to discard any one of these cards from her play area to damage Tenzin 1 point. So she is actually just going to pass right now. And by passing, she claims the first player marker. So she's going to go first in the next round. And now that's going to take us into the damage phase. So let's take a look at the enemies on the board. I will just pull one. There's only 1 enemy on the board, and he came out once Tenzin defeated the guard, and it is the enemy soldier. And you will see he does 1 damage. So right now, and each player is going to take damage. So, how does damage work? Well, you can avoid damage by tapping or using cards. For every card that is face up or has not been tapped in your play area, you can tap it right now to avoid the damage. So there's only one damage being dealt out in this damage phase, so Zoe will just tap this one card. She avoids taking any damage. Let's go to Tenzin and see what he's got to help him out to avoiding damage. Okay, so in the damage phase, here we have Tenzin. He does have one card still face up. He will tap it, and that will be him avoiding the one damage. All right, let's go back to the main board, wrap up round one, and that will be it. Okay, so that is the end of round one. There was lots of bouncing around, and you can see that it alternates between the first player, second player, on and on and on. You keep going. Everyone does 2 actions until everyone is passed. Then you go to the damage phase, and it is the end of the round. So that was the end of round one. Tenzin is able, he's up to 2 victory points. Chloe's still here at 0. Lots of time left in the game, however. Tenzin's down to 10 life from 11, and Zoe's down to 8 life from 9. There's 2 search tokens from Chloe on the Tibetan ritual vase, and 1 search token on the 9-jewel ring from Tenzin. All right, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. That was round 1 of Uncharted, the board game. Join me next time when we get into round 2. Thanks for watching.